Hey there, my friends. This is Kathleen, and I'm glad to be with you this morning. I need to get this cover done for my next journal, which is going to be a pretty winter journal. Not Christmas exactly, but just, a kind of a general winter-ish kind of botanical, I think. I think that's where we're going with this. Anyway, so as I showed you last week, I've picked this pretty Reader's Digest cover. It has this really beautiful blue-gray color on the inside too, and I really like that. So the cover needs to be prepared, and I just thought maybe I would bring you along. I'm gonna do just one of my regular collages on the front, and so let's go ahead and prepare the inside. I use a Tyvek strip that goes across the bottom, and this is just gonna reinforce that kind of often fragile spine on these old Reader's Digest covers. So let's just put some glue on here, and I put it on pretty liberally, and then I kind of smear it as I put it down. So I kind of put it down lower than it ought to be, and then kind of slide it so that the glue ends up where it needs to be, and it covers all of the edges in the middle. Yeah, and sometimes I need to come along the edge because I want this Tyvek to be completely glued down. Don't want any part of it sticking up, or it's going to disturb the fabric that goes over the top. So we want to make sure that there's glue all the way to that edge. All the way to that edge. Okay. Now, from here, I just need to decide how much over the edge. It looks like about 1/4 of an inch on, either side of that. And I'm just going to use this pretty blue kind of botanical floral fabric. So I'm going to put glue all over the inside. And that's still just kind of coming up there. And then we'll go about 1/4 of an inch on the side. Okay, and now sometimes I just take a scrap of paper and fold it, and then I just kind of smear it. And that's just so that the glue doesn't, clump when I put the fabric down. And this is, I have starched this fabric, so that just makes it a little easier for me to handle. And then I kind of bend it to see if I have it even, on both sides, and then I press it down. And if I've done a good job, as we'll see in a minute, then it bends, you know, and there are no wrinkles. So looks like that's pretty good. Okay, and I haven't slopped glue, so that's always a nice thing. Okay, now let's turn it over and make sure this is the top. Yep, it is. And then we can start the collage. So I just have chosen several pieces. These are original pieces of ephemera, just from my stash. A little ice coupon there, a ticket. This is just a die cut bird. Here's a little vintage stamp and a little tiny playing card, which I have sanded on the back to give it some tooth so that it will grip the glue. Another little die cut piece, pharmacy label, and a doily. So let's see how I can arrange this. I think that we'll start first of all with this. This is some kind of a little trader's card, and I'm using just my Master's Touch gel matte medium from Hobby Lobby. And so we'll start by gluing this down, and I think we'll begin at the top. The top corner usually works best for me. And I just have an old credit card that I use to kind of push that down. And I keep just a paper towel that I can kind of keep the glue up for now. I mean, I will glue that more later, but for now, if I kind of wipe it up, then it doesn't streak. And now let's do maybe the I think we'll put this toward the bottom. So this needs to go down next. This is just a large piece, and it's just going to, you know, cover up a fair amount of space. So get some glue on there. Just make sure I get that on straight. And it looks like that glue is kind of interacting with that ink. That could be a problem. I need some more glue there at the edge. So I'm going to try to avoid using the brush because the scraper won't smear that ink quite as much. That's unfortunate, but we'll see how it turns out. So then I think we'll put this on next. Yeah, and I'll need to be a little careful with this. I can't really put the glue on this. I need to put it on the base and then put this on top. So that's going to smear all that ink Oh my gosh, I'm glad that that's going to be covered up. So sometimes you just don't expect, you don't know what you can expect with that kind of thing. Again, I think I'll just use the scraper to put that on. All right. Okay, and then I think we need another little thing up here, so let's put this stamp up here. Whenever I do collage, I end up with a lot of glue on my fingers. So it's another, oops. It's another reason to keep paper towel handy. All right, now we've got a pretty good foundation going here. So I think this is going to go down probably next, but I think I want it to overlap this. So I think I'm going to put this down. But this is going to go on the bottom. I'm going to put this down part way. So I'm just going to put glue on part of it for now and not glue this edge, because I think I want that to be on an edge over here. So we'll keep that kind of folded back. And then I'm going to put this down. I think I want that up a little. Yeah. Okay, now I'll put this on. Generous amount on that playing card. And I'm just always looking to make sure I have things lined up on the edges. And now that that playing card is down, then we'll put this down over the top of it. So I try, when I find pieces for collage, I try to find, pieces that would be some big, some a little smaller. I don't want that to be too even with that one. I kind of want there to be a little bit of space. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, now I need this ticket going down here. Vertically, yeah, right. You know, I don't know if this is the kind of video that's really that interesting to any of you. I know you've seen me do it before, but it's the work that I had to do today, so that's why you got to come along. So now I can put this part down. Some glue there, and we'll lay that down on top. So doing these overlapping kinds of things is kind of tricky, but I kind of like doing that. Okay, just 2 more pieces, and I knew I wanted this to be on the top, and this one I kind of, you know, want it to go over here. And again, this is kind of hard to put glue on that, but I don't dare smear glue along that ink. So we have to put the glue on this piece, and then hopefully, here, let me use, I'll pick it up with the tweezers and see if I can get it down and kind of covering up some of that smear. We'll put it kind of along there. Okay, and now this is kind of heavy. Well, it's not cardstock, but it's also not paper. It's very heavy paper, I would say. And I don't want it to be white, so I'm just going to put a little ink on there, which is probably going to get smeared anyway, but yeah, then we'll put this. Don't know how much to have it. I guess about like that. So I need to put a fair amount of glue on it because it's heavier. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And then the button will go over here with the, you know, the closure piece. That card, that's gonna be a problem, I think. It's wanting to pull up. So before I put the final coat on this, I'm going to have you excuse me for a minute, and I'm going to dry this a little bit, and then we'll come back and put a top coat on that. Hang on one moment. Okay, collage always works best when you have thin papers. When you use thicker things, then you struggle with the paper trying to pull up. But one benefit of trying to use some kind of a dryer is as the glue begins to dry and it no longer sticks, you know, to your fingers, as it dries, you can kind of push on the edges where those things are kind of trying to come up. See, I've got two thick things together, and, well, I should say thicker. They're not thick, but you know what I'm saying. So, you know, you can kind of keep pushing it down before it's totally dry. And I find that helps on all of these little corners and places, you know, where things might start pulling up. So then when it's completely dry, then you can do the final coat. Hang on. Okay, now we can just put a final coat of glue over all of our pieces to kind of seal everything in and create a seal, a good seal. And I need to be really careful across that ink, because I really don't want to smear that too much. But this just kind of creates a coat that's even across the top. And then I usually come down along this edge and try to get all the brush strokes going in the same direction. And now I will let that dry. Hold on. Okay, there's our pretty cover. I like the way that's turned out. And I'm relieved that the smears from that ink don't seem to be too noticeable now that the medium is dried. And I think it looks good. The inside is good. So now it's ready for the signatures, and then we can start to decorate. That'll be the next project. Thanks for being with me today. I hope that was useful, or at least interesting. We'll see you again next week.